As a freshman in college, Mark Jenkins worried about how to pass calculus. He thought it would be like other math classes but quickly discovered that it wasn't. Just when he thought he could handle it, he barely passed the midterm and became desperate for help. He told his steady girlfriend, Millie, that he would hire a tutor and that their time together would be greatly reduced. "What am I supposed to do when you're studying?" she asked, very frustrated. "And how long will that last?" "Only until the end of the semester." "Well, I don't like it, but I guess I can wait a month or so." The next day he advertised for a tutor, and a few days later he received 2 applications. The first was from a large guy who was sweating profusely and breathing badly. The second was from a hot red-haired girl with brilliant green eyes, and, believe it or not, her name was Scarlett O'Hara. Even weirder, she was from Atlanta, Georgia. He had agreed to be her tutor, and was already shaking her hand when Millie walked into the conference room of the library where the interview was being held. "See you soon, Mark." Scarlett grinned and paid no attention to Millie as she turned and walked away. "Don't tell me you're considering her," Millie growled after him. "Baby, she's perfect. She passed her midterm, has only taken 8 credits this semester, and her free time matches mine perfectly." "I'm sure it does. I saw the way she looked at you. There's no way I'm letting her be your tutor. You're just being ridiculous. Listen to me. I only got 2 names and the other guy was a fat pig and smelled like a pig. I already told her she was going to be my tutor. Are you sure? If you do, things will change between us." She looked into his blue eyes. "Do you have any idea how important this is to me? This is the last math class I need to get into the School of Civil Engineering. Please, honey. No. Take it or leave it. If she becomes your tutor tomorrow, then that's it. We're done. Deal." She turned and walked away. She didn't respond to any of his texts, emails, or calls that night. After not getting much sleep, he checked again to make sure no one else had applied for the tutoring position. Shit, I can't mess up the scholarship. She needs to realize that, and I know she'll be pissed for a while. But Millie wasn't returning his calls, so he started seeing Scarlett in the study room again. He figured his girlfriend would calm down and figure things out after a week of being away. He was walking to talk to her about it and froze when he saw her getting into a car with another guy. When they got in, she turned around, pulled him to her and kissed him. Millie was walking with a friend from one of her classes when she saw Mark walking in her direction. When she found out he'd kept the hot tutor, she'd gotten angry and hadn't returned his calls to convince him to give her up. It didn't work, and she realized she had to raise the bar. "Jeff, get in the car now." "What? Why?" "Just do it. Fast." She hurried over and moved into the passenger seat next to him. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed Mark watching them and suddenly pulled the surprised guy's mouth to hers. After a few moments, she looked away and noticed he was gone. Jeff's hand reached for her breast, but she jerked it away sharply. "What do you take me for?" Scarlett was shocked when Mark paid her for 3 weeks of tutoring. "But you still have 2 more weeks before your end-of-semester exam. You've been very helpful in helping me understand what I need to know, but I have to stop this for personal reasons. If this doesn't work out, I hope you'll let me call you." "Definitely. I like you, Mark. A lot." She hugged him lightly and kissed him on the cheek before walking away. Millie was hiding behind the bookshelves when the red-haired girl left the room. She saw a few tears on the girl's cheek and smiled. The next day, she walked into the library study room. "Thanks, sweetie." He was still angry about her kissing the guy in the car, and he knew she had seen it coming. "Did you sleep with him?" "No, of course not. It was just a kiss. I only love you, baby. Go away, please. I have to study." He heard the door close and focused on calculus. Suddenly, everything started making sense, and 2 weeks later, he not only passed the exam but got one of the highest scores. It took Millie a while to get Mark back into her arms and bed. She loved him, but she couldn't risk another woman stealing him away. A few months later, they moved into an off-campus apartment together, and during Christmas break, he proposed to her. They were married a month after graduation and had a wonderful honeymoon week in Aruba. As wonderful as his life with his new bride was, he never forgot that her take-it-or-leave-it requirement almost cost him his scholarship. They managed their new responsibilities just fine, and soon they were both earning around 6 figures. They bought a nice 3-level house on a lake just 30 minutes from where they worked. 6 years later, he asked when they were going to start a family, expecting her to be excited, but she ignored his question. "Well, honey, I just got an assignment to go to Europe 6 times a year for audits. I won't be able to have children for the next few years." "And how long does an audit last?" he snapped back, completely pissed off. 1 to 2 weeks, she replied as if it was a matter of course. "So let's break it down. 2 weeks a month and 6 months a year is 12 weeks a year that you'll be traveling around Europe, right?" "Well, maybe less if we finish the audit ahead of time." "We? You said we. Do you know who we is?" "Well, yeah, that's Randy Bannon. You met him at the Christmas party." "Oh yeah, that's the bastard who tried to fuck you on the dance floor. Before that, you were complaining about him flirting with you and bringing you presents. That was before, and this is now. It's too late to change anything. My position has already been replaced, and Randy and I are going to audit training. We're going to Rome next Friday." "Well, the only thing I can say is no. So no. Take it or leave it. If he or anyone else becomes your audit partner tomorrow, that's it. We're done. Done is done. But I could lose my job, and I don't want to do that." "Nothing's going to happen, babe." He turned and walked away. She followed him and begged him to reconsider his position. He packed a bag and drove to his brother Ted's apartment. That evening and all weekend, he did not respond to her texts, emails, or calls. Since he was ignoring her, she planned to continue the trip on Friday. It was her job, and he was being selfish. They had just bought a house, and she knew he wouldn't give up on their 5-year marriage. So she decided to do the only thing she had left to do. She lied. Mark was sitting on Ted's patio, drinking a cold beer, when he heard the side gate open. Turning around, he saw his wife in a sexy yellow sundress. "I told you we were done, Millie. I talked to the boss, and Jessica Hollis will now be working in Randy's place. Don't you want to come home so I can show you how much you mean to me?" "No. I'm still pissed that this was all planned weeks ago, and you waited until now to take it out on me. And it's not just that you're leaving with a jerk. It's that we talked about you getting pregnant when we bought a nice house." She knew she had to keep lying. "I told my boss I only agreed to a few trips, and he'd have to find a replacement for me. I want to have kids too." She figured once the trip started, she could convince him how important it was to her. "I'll think about it. Now go away." "But Mark." "Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away." She took a step closer, but he looked at her angrily. She sighed and turned away. Ted came out of the house a few minutes later. "She lied. You know, she always said you have to say, first. You saw that too, didn't you?" Mark sighed and sat back down. "I'm sad to say it's over between us. I'm going to wait until she's gone to start taking action. Use my divorce lawyer. She's cute as a button but meaner than a bulldog. And in the courtroom, she gets right to the point. I don't want to hurt her like this. I had a chance to cut this thread before we got married. But I didn't. She was going to fail a subject I had to pass to get into engineering. But I backed down and let her get her way. Big mistake." He thought of the girl who had mentored him and reached into his laptop. "Let's see. How could I forget that name?" 10 minutes later, he found her on Facebook. Monday morning, he got a text from Millie. "Millie, Mark, have you decided to come home? I'm leaving with Jessica on Friday and would like to spend at least one night with you in our bed before we leave. I'm giving you everything you want. So what's the problem?" He read her message and called her office. "Hanger and Son. Can I help you?" "Yes, put me through to Jessica Hollis, please. I'm a relative of hers from out of town and would like to speak with her." "Sure, 1 minute. No, wait. She's not here anymore. She went on maternity leave a few days ago." "That's wonderful. I'm sure she's looking forward to her first child. But she already has 2 children. Who did you say you were?" He pressed the red button on his phone. On Wednesday, Millie reappeared unannounced on Ted's terrace. "Why are you being so difficult about this, Mark?" He leaned back in his chair and stared at her. "Remember when we dated in college? You were mad at the tutor I picked. Yeah, so? I could tell she wanted to get into bed with you. I had a right to be angry. You didn't care one bit that my final exam grade would determine my future. Then you faked a hot kiss with a guy to make me jealous. Well, you hired the bitch anyway, so I was desperate. I still remember your ultimatum. Take it or leave it. So now it's my turn. If you continue with the audit, we're finished. Done. That's my job, and by golly, I'm going. I'll see you when I get back. She moved in to kiss him, but he pulled away. He hadn't heard from her on Friday, so he drove back to their house. Her big suitcase and pile of clothes were gone now. He had a week or two to move all her stuff out and separate their savings and checking accounts. After stopping their joint credit cards and Costco card, he changed the passwords on their online shopping accounts and took her out of her life insurance policy. I can't believe this just happened, Randy whispered, snuggling up to Millie. An angry image of her husband's face flashed through Millie's mind when he said they were done. Why don't we get on one of the tour buses and see Rome? Rome? Why would you want to see Rome when you have me naked in your bed? I'm sure sex will get me up and ready again. Randy, this is wrong. I made a big mistake, and we can never do this again. I love my husband, and I can't risk losing him. So when we get back, I'm quitting my job. Now go away. He was furious and called her several horrible names, one of which was asshole tease, and another was frigid bitch. They managed to get audited, but it took 2 weeks due to a lack of communication. In the meantime, she continued to call and leave messages from Mark about how she missed him and couldn't wait to hold him again. Every night, after not finding a return message from him, she cried herself to sleep. The airplane was tossing and turning because of the impending storm front. Many passengers were praying for a safe trip to the airport. Millie's knuckles turned white as she gripped the armrests of her seat. The plane skidded slightly sideways, but the engines kept it on the runway. When the plane landed safely and was at the gate, Randy didn't wait for her as she took her time lowering her bag. Since she didn't want Mark to see Randy get off the plane with her, she didn't ask him to pick her up. Taking a cab, she tried to open the front door, but the key wouldn't work. As she rang the doorbell, a strong wind blew and fluttered her hair. She heard someone open the door and was about to throw herself into Mark's arms when a beautiful woman with short red hair appeared. Behind her stood a smiling Jessica Hollis. "Scarlett, what are you doing? What are you doing here?" "Finished?" the green-eyed beauty asked. "You see, I live here now, and you, my dear, have disappeared with the wind. Where is my husband? I want to see him." "What are you doing here, Jessica? It seems you've been using my name in an attempt to hide your connection to Randy. I want everyone to know that I wasn't part of your cheating plan. And by the way, everyone in the office knows how you lied to your husband. Okay? Okay. But my name is also on the title of this house, so get the hell out." Mark stepped around Scarlett and Jessica and stood up, crossing his arms. "I told you it's over between us. You'll need a court order to come back here. I doubt you can get it by Monday, so get off this porch, you cheating bitch." "Mark, please, we need to talk. I'm going to resign on Monday, and then all of this will be behind us. We're done. Done. Have a nice life, Millie," he hummed, then walked back into the house and slammed the door behind him. "I wish it was over, but I know she's too stubborn to leave anyway. Thanks, Scarlett and Jessica, for stopping by to greet her. Please keep me posted on any developments regarding your little Jessica and Scarlett. I hope we can." "Me too," she finished his sentence.